Lips.
I know, right? I mean, I have to say, Karen Dupiche, our wonderful, wonderful makeup artist, when the earthquake was happening, she put her coat on, and she was like, Jesus is coming.
I'm out.
I'm out. I'm leaving. We've got a solar eclipse. We've got the earthquake. She ran down the hallway.
Their brains are small. But who's the dumbest one of all? True, none of them are in Mensa, but who's the most densa? Perhaps it's Sunny who mastered the art of making idiots look smart. Now, The View could ask a mirror who's the dumbest one of all, but there's no way that glass doesn't...
Welcome back to All-Star Buzz. Thank you for joining us, and let's begin. Greg Gutfeld has never been one to hold back, but this time, he went for the kill. In what can only be described as a complete obliteration, he took Sunny Hostin to task in a way that left The View scrambling for damage control. The moment was brutal, the fallout was immediate, and the repercussions? ABC executives completely went berserk.
I know, right? I mean, I have to say, Karen Dupiche, our wonderful makeup artist, when the earthquake was happening, she put her coat on, and she was like, Jesus is coming.
I'm out.
I'm out. I'm leaving. We've got a solar eclipse. We've got the earthquake. She ran down the hallway.
The rapture is here.
The rapture's here. And then also I learned that the cicadas are coming.
Cicadas.
Cicadas.
Although I love
for the first time in like
No,
100 years.
no.
For the first time in many, many years.
No, every 17 years this happens.
Well, that's not what I read, but maybe, you know, maybe you know better. All those things together would maybe lead one to believe that, you know, either climate change exists or something is really going on.
returning.
Earthquakes are not at the mercy of climate change. It's underground. It can't.
It happens, and the eclipse. They've known about the eclipse coming because eclipses happen, and they actually can say when these things are going to happen.
All because of one host who couldn't cross-check the facts before spilling her beans on live TV. Here's the View panel launching into one of their favorite talking points: identity politics and historical grievances. Sunny Hostin never misses an opportunity to remind the audience of America's past sins, doubling down on her usual rhetoric about systemic racism, holding people accountable for the actions of their ancestors, and making broad, sweeping claims about privilege. But here's where things got really interesting. We won't be seeing that, Gutfeld quipped.
That's not what I read. The true sign of the apocalypse is someone that dumb has a law degree. Worse, if your name has the word sun in it, there's no excuse for not knowing how an eclipse works. But it's no surprise that Joy is the one who understands science. She's been on the science diet for years. They're turning on me. So that makes Sunny Hostin, who thinks climate change caused the solar eclipse, the dumbest of them all. Because everyone knows the moon caused the eclipse, which is controlled by the View's gravitational pull. All right, Kat, did you ever see such a group? It's amazing how Joy and Whoopi became the smart ones.
Oh, so you know what? Whoopi, you know, she thought like either the Nazis thought the Jews were a race or were in a race. I'm not sure what she thought. And I thought, you know, this new one was Sunny, pretty dumb. And then Joey Behar in her own echo chamber. I'm going to say the dumbest people who still watch the show.
Yes.
The whole audience clapped by the
studio audience.
Yeah.
Whoopi, though.
She's funny, right?
No.
Oh, okay. I was trying to find some kind of redeeming thing to say about The View. You could see right through me.
Well, at least Joy and Whoopi were fact-checking this time around. That was surprising, a pleasant one.
Yeah, it was. We won't be seeing.
Sunny Hostin doesn't take enough time to fact-check her comments. And even when she does, it's usually on very rare occasions. With a smirk, he leaned in and delivered what would become the moment of the night. He reminded Sunny that, according to recent revelations, her own ancestors were slave owners. The audience gasped. Even Joy Behar, who usually backs up Sunny's every word, looked visibly uncomfortable. And Whoopi? For once, she was speechless.
Hostin's obsession with race gets thrown back in her face. Today's video comes to us from Sunny Hostin. Sounds like a town. We're in Sunny Hostin. She was on PBS's Finding Your Roots, a show dedicated to researching celebrity ancestry. For context, Sunny is a staunch supporter of reparations and has made a fortune spewing nonsense about white privilege and racial justice. Well, turns out she's not as oppressed as she claims she is. She's actually the descendant of slave owners from Europe. Here's how she took the news. Roll it.
Wow. I'm a little bit in shock. I just always thought of myself as Puerto Rican, you know, half Puerto Rican. I didn't think I was, my family was originally from Spain and slaveholders.
Yeah. So how are you feeling, my friend?
I think it's actually pretty interesting that my husband and I have shared roots.
Yeah.
So I do appreciate that. And I think it's great for our children to know this information. I guess it's a fact of life that this is how some people made their living, on the backs of others.
Fact of life. Interesting change of tune. For more, we go to our chief Sunny Hostin correspondent for a reaction.
You could see Sunny caught off guard, trying to brush it off as just a fact of life. But the interviewer wasn't done, and neither was Gutfeld. He pointed out the glaring hypocrisy.
Lou, is this karma or what?
Well, first, I just want to go on the record to let everyone know that I am very much against slavery.
Okay, good.
Very brave to say that on this panel. You know, karma, definitely. I mean, it's one thing. It's going to be so awkward on, you know, new episodes of The View when she tries to pull the race card.
Yes.
And then she's like, America is racist. And then they're like, yeah, they might be racist, but they're not like slave owner racist. like somebody that we
That's so true.
you know?
Oh, I'm gonna milk this till the end of time.
Yeah.
You're right. Anytime she says something stupid, I'm gonna go, slave owner! Kat, just watched that. That's the second time I've watched that. She was tipped off beforehand, right? Because they had to tell her before, so she had time to regroup. They wouldn't just surprise. You think? No?
I don't know. I feel like
How she had built her platform on holding others accountable for their past. Yet, when confronted with her own uncomfortable history, she suddenly wanted to move on. The irony was too much to ignore, and just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, Gutfeld dropped another brutal punchline.
Is shaming descendants of this. Will she continue to do that when she is now one of them, Dana? And it is funny. She's so wrapped up in identity, and she had no idea who she was.
for me, the most shocking thing about the conversation was how truly boring it was. They're like, well, the cicadas, they're cicadas. Okay, but it was like every 100 years. No, it's every 17 years. Do you know how many Emmys this show has? 31.
31 Emmys?
This show has 31. I mean, I'd hate to see the conversations that don't make headlines. What?
And we don't have a single
Not a
Emmy.
single
You don't
one.
Have what does that tell you about the Emmys, Kat? Yes, thank you, Mr. Boo. Give that man a free cup of water. Charlie,
She's so wrapped up in identity politics, she didn't even know who she was. The audience erupted in laughter. The internet exploded with reactions. Clips of the exchange went viral within minutes. People on social media had a field day, with memes flooding Twitter and TikTok. One particularly popular joke read, "Reparations?"
Right, like what is the show prep? They just go, go! Is that the pre-show? Like, what was that? I didn't realize until Kat started talking that all happened on the air. Yeah. I thought it was just like a behind-the-scenes disaster.
A blooper.
Yeah, that was crazy. And we can disagree, Greg. You say cicada.
Let me write that check to myself real quick. The hypocrisy was just too blatant to ignore. And the ratings? Well, let's just say the hate is increasing in place of the ratings. Sunny, of course, did not take the roasting well. The tension on the View set was palpable.
It'd be so close.
What's the chart? Have you ever been on The View?
I have many. I think when was Barbara
Walters,
was she still on it back then?
Yeah, she was on it even after she died.
I remember I remember I was on The View and I don't know what man whore I was playing at the time in a movie he was promoting. And I remember I took off her shoe just as a joke, to kind of do something. And her foot, that was a mistake.
Oh my God.
Hey, it was kind of, every toe had its own, Anyway, God rest her soul.
Yes.
Well, I don't know who's dumber, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Whoopi, sensing that her co-host was drowning, tried to change the subject. But the damage was already done. The embarrassment was too great, and Sunny's attempt at brushing off her past fell flat. What made this moment even more damning was how it played into a larger pattern of controversy for The View. This wasn't the first time the show found itself in hot water. Over the years, The View had built a reputation for shutting down dissenting voices and going after conservative figures, but this time, it backfired spectacularly. Let's not forget the recent scandals, Whoopi Goldberg's tone-deaf Holocaust remarks, the Carrie Underwood lawsuit, and The View's repeated smearing of Elon Musk.
She could have maybe done better. Okay, here's the thing. One thing, and I would have even actually not give her any is she said, well, I guess that's just what they did back then.
Yeah.
She should have followed that up with saying something along the lines of, and I understand that that's a departure from the way I've talked about this before. That was to me, the one thing that was missing.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's okay, now that you have this information, have you had any personal growth? Do you think about things differently? You have to acknowledge that.
Yeah.
Because when you're presented with new information, it's okay to change your mind. It's good to change your mind, but you should acknowledge that has happened.
Exactly, because if she is shaming descendants of this, will she continue to do that when she is now one of them, Dana? And it is funny. She's so wrapped up in identity, and she had no idea who she was.
Well, now we understand why she always makes Whoopi get the coffee.
Which resulted in defamation lawsuits. One by one, these incidents chipped away at the show's credibility. And now, Greg Gutfeld had just delivered the biggest blow yet. ABC immediately went into damage control mode. Executives scrambled to contain the fallout as advertisers began backing away from The View. Sponsors didn't want their brands associated with a show that kept getting sued.
I don't know. That's not true.
That's not true.
But you think about things that she said and how offensive they are.
Yeah.
Well, karma.
Yeah, it is karma. And that's coming from someone who's descended from the Keebler elves.
Yeah.
Ratings were already declining, and this latest controversy wasn't helping. But here's where things got even crazier. As if Sunny's complete public humiliation wasn't enough, Greg Gutfeld's roast had financial consequences. After the clip went viral, The View lost major sponsors, forcing ABC to reassess the show's future. Rumors began swirling. Was ABC finally going to pull the plug on The View? Would Sunny be forced out to salvage what was left of the show's reputation? Would Whoopi, already a lightning rod for controversy, be the next to go? Insiders leaked reports that ABC executives were furious at how much the show had cost them in legal fees and lost sponsorships. Some advertisers were already planning to cut ties, worried that The View had become too toxic to associate with. But
in her defense, everyone has ancestors that did unspeakably horrible things. It's just that not everyone's ancestors have records tied to their DNA about it. But I'm more worried for Sunny Hostin's progeny in the future that do a DNA test and find out that they were related to a cast member of The View. And they're like, oh, it all makes so much sense now why I'm so stupid and fat.
All right. Terrible. Terrible.
Here's the kicker. While The View was scrambling, Greg Gutfeld was celebrating. His late-night show saw a massive boost in viewership, with fans flocking to watch the moment unfold. He didn't just win the argument, he won the entire news cycle. So, what happens next? Will ABC finally cut their losses and put The View out of its misery? Will Sunny be forced to issue a public apology? Or will she double down on her hypocrisy? One thing is for sure, this isn't going away anytime soon.
Amazing. Oh. That's not what I read. The true sign of the apocalypse is someone that dumb has a law degree. Worse, if your name has the word sun in it, there's no excuse for not knowing how an eclipse works. But it's no surprise that Joy is the one who understands science. She's been on the science diet for years. They're turning on me. So that makes Sunny Hostin, who thinks climate change caused the solar eclipse, the dumbest of them all. Because everyone knows the moon caused the eclipse, which is controlled by The View's gravitational pull. All right, Kat, did you ever see such a group? It's amazing how Joy and Whoopi became the smart one.
Advertisers are watching closely, assessing whether the controversy will die down or if they need to distance themselves for good. The legal team is undoubtedly bracing for potential lawsuits as defamation claims continue to pile up. ABC is faced with a tough decision. Do they continue to back The View, hoping the controversy blows over? Or do they make drastic changes to salvage what's left of the brand? There's already speculation that if things don't improve, The View might face the same fate as other outdated talk shows, quietly canceled and replaced with something fresher and less controversial. But what about Sunny Hostin? Can she recover from this public embarrassment? Will she continue pushing the same talking points despite the backlash? Or will she be forced to take a step back and reevaluate her approach?
Good. Let them all. You know, I'd like to see on the View.
What?
Would be like Roseanne and like Candace right out of the gate.
Oh my! Roseanne, you know
Roseanne
what?
with a 9mm. Just
Roseanne is the most inspired choice.
Yes.
Because she, oh my God, that
She'd
would
be a monster.
Yeah, she would eat them alive, or they would eat her.
Yeah.
That is true, though. You know, Kat, think about that choice. Like, would any sane person want that job at The View? Let's say you weren't working here, and they approached you, and they said, we need, like, and you're not a Trumper, but let's say they wanted, like, an opposing perspective.
Well, just any kind of opposing perspective, right? Because the concern, I mean, it's there's no argument anymore on The View, right? I don't know why you'd want. I don't know why you'd want it.
Yeah, they'd have to pay you a lot of money.
But I was gonna say everybody has their.
The View is at a crossroads, and the choices made in the coming weeks will determine its future. The show has survived scandals before, but this time, the damage might be too severe. Advertisers are wary. Viewers are skeptical.
Okay? So it's not even that. In The View, you don't need to find Trumpers. You need to fire your race baiters.
Yeah.
You need to fire the two races. You've had people. You had a McCain on there. You've had people on there before, and you ran them off. So the racist ones who want to stick to this, Whoopi and Sunny, and was it Bette Midler? What's her name? Yeah, broke-ass Bette Midler. Fire them and bring people in. Maybe you could get McCain to come back. She was a Republican, but every show and every break, she was nearly in tears because she was being attacked. So the problem is that you have to go after the racist people. And if the CEO goes, you know what, I'm not going to allow a woman on my show, or man, that will go after white America and talk about them like dogs. That doesn't represent our ideals or values for anyone. And get rid of those people, and this will clear up real quick. So do you have to actually look in the mirror and clean up your own backyard and get the racist people out? Because that's who you allowed in. You allowed black racist on TV who could just go all day and say anything about white people. And I guess lo and behold, they forgot that there's a lot of people at home.
And the media landscape is changing. Greg Gutfeld delivered a masterclass in exposing hypocrisy, and now The View is paying the price. Whether this is the beginning of the end for the show or just another chapter in its long history of controversy, one thing is clear. The balance of power in media is shifting, and The View is no longer untouchable. What do you think about Gutfeld's remarks on the ladies of The View? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a video. I'll see you guys in the next one.